Hello and welcome back to An Old Man Watches, and today I'm going to be talking about the sexy, sudsy 90s noir Wild Things. I'll also very briefly discuss the first two sequels, but only very briefly because really that's all the attention that they deserve. Before I start the video proper, a quick content warning. Rape allegations play a major role in the first act of this film. If that's a red line for you, you may wish to stop the video now. Right, let's continue. So the film introduces us to Sam Lombardo, a high school guidance counsellor who works in the upscale Miami suburb of Blue Bay. Lombardo is handsome and popular, but of a decidedly lower socioeconomic status than many of his students. And this is a factor that definitely counts against him when two of them accuse him of sexual assault. You see, while one of the young women making the allegations is a poor nobody who lives in a trailer in the Everglades, the other is the daughter of a socially and politically powerful real estate heiress. As the case grinds towards trial, Lombardo loses his job and his social circle and is forced to relocate to a dingy motel to avoid the opprobrium and harassment of his former friends and neighbours. But the film's still only 30 minutes old at this point, so it seems like there's a lot more going on here that we are yet to discover. So Wild Things is a movie in which, among many other things happening, a popular white man is accused of rape. And the movie does everything it can to make us sympathise with him in that circumstance. One thing I want to say before I go into any more detail about the film is to remember that in the real world, allegations of sexual assault are very rarely false, and in many cases, the actual victim of the crime is the one who is subjected to the kind of intense social stigma that we see Lombardo experience here. In other words, keep in mind that this is a movie, and in the real world, the Sam Lombardos are often guilty, and if anything, they are more likely to be defended and excused by pundits than they are to be accused and attacked, as Sam is here. But ultimately, this is a neo-noir, twisty-turny mystery movie, not a courtroom drama. The bulk of the film occurs after the rape trial. And it's quite a ride, particularly if you, like I did, see the film with very little information about what you're getting into. Which is why I'm trying to keep things as vague as I can throughout this video. So if you want to see the movie as unspoiled as possible, you may want to bail out of the video now because, while I'm going to try and keep things vague, some details are probably going to slip in. For those of you who are still with me, the first thing that I wanted to talk about is the twisty-turny mystery element. Once it's got it set up out of the way, Wild Things throws out surprises with formidable enthusiasm and regularity. They are in fact still going through the end credits, so make sure you stick around for the full story. Now, I certainly think an argument can be made that the sheer volume of twists and shocks that the script throws out do become rather far-fetched and improbable. But importantly, though, I feel like the movie never shades over from improbable into nonsensical. Characters take big risks and big gambles, but the potential rewards of the decisions do justify those risks. And I never felt the movie had characters make choices that directly contradicted their previous actions or agendas. Now, it's not easy to write a script with lots of shocks and surprises and not have it stumble into a plot faux pas of some kind. More than once, I've been yanked out of enjoying a film by a plot development that rendered previous events and decisions actively counterproductive to the character's goals. Hang on, why did that person do X earlier if what they wanted all along was Y? Wild Things, despite its plot gyrations, never crossed that line for me. So I think on that front, it's good work. Now, at the time of its release, Wild Things drew a lot of attention for its sexual content. Now, in a post-Game of Thrones world, this element will probably not have the same surprise or impact. But in 1998, cinematic sexuality was in quite a different place. There had been films like Basic Instinct and Showgirls, but they were exceptions to the rule, and the sex was very much front and centre in the advertising campaign. So when Wild Things unleashed threesomes, girl-on-girl action, and even a brief moment of full-frontal male nudity, it certainly got attention for its more prurient content. Ironically, the full-frontal male nude scene was from an actor who had a no-nudity clause in his contract, but agreed to let the best shot be used. So I just thought that was an interesting side note. But in terms of the actual screen time, that depicts nudity and sex, the film is actually fairly sparing, with only a few such scenes sprinkled throughout. They're just fairly high impact when they happen. And while things are certainly drenched throughout with sexuality, the camera frequently lingers on scantily clad young women. Would the film work without these prurient elements? Yeah, I think it would. Would it work as well? Perhaps not. Two things I can say for sure, though. One, it was quite a surprise when the first such scene unfolded. And two, it inadvertently poisoned the chalice for the sequels. Now, when this movie was being made, I very much doubt that anyone was thinking about making Wild Things as a franchise. But the film has actually spawned 3 sequels, all in the first decade of the 2000s. I've seen the first 2 of those, mostly because it was cheap to buy a DVD with them included as it was to get the original film alone, which ought to tell you how good the sequels are, really. Identifying the key problems with Wild Things 2 and Wild Things Diamond in the Rough is pretty simple. First, the scripts careen blithely over the nonsense line, with the plots tripping over their own twists and descending into farces. Character choices end up making literally no sense. Second, they all contort themselves to fit in the same sexual shenanigans as the first film. And I do quite literally mean the same. Each film features characters who are pretty much one-to-one analogues of Sam Lombardo and the 2 young women who accuse him. This is apparently also true of the 3rd sequel, Wild Things Foursome, but I haven't seen that one. Basically, I feel like Wild Things carved a distinct niche for itself that the sequels have entirely failed to leave, becoming simply inferior copies of the original, and they can all safely be skipped. Next time, let's talk about a movie that I genuinely loathed, and I don't use that word lightly. The repugnant, misanthropic, misogynistic pile of steaming fecal matter that is 1973's High Plains Drifter. But that's next time. Until then, thanks for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it.